Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am your host, Rashida McFerrin, and today we're going to be talking about overcoming limiting beliefs that keep us stuck in our wealth creation journey. In regards to creating financial success, you have to be able to identify limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck or blocked in order to be able to free yourself from those beliefs, in order to reprogram your subconscious to create new beliefs so that you call in more abundance, more wealth, and more money in your life. And having basic limiting beliefs like I'll never be rich, or money is scarce, or money is hard to come by. I'll give you a few from me growing up. My mom used to always say, money don't grow on trees. Um, my mom still says now, we ain't rich folk. I don't know who they think they talking to, but ain't nobody rich like that. And I'm like, because my mom was a teacher for 35, almost 40 years, she was an art teacher. She didn't make much money. Um, Probably until the latter years of her career before she retired, and working for $24,000 a year during the 90s when you have four kids. Honey, how is that? I don't know how we survived. Sometimes I think about it, but truth be told, because we live next door to my grandparents, um it was a very community atmosphere in regards to raising a family. And so everybody played their part. I am the younger of the four kids, and so my brothers and sisters were long gone, with the exception of my sister, because she's like 4 or 5 years older than me. But I'm like the first 80s baby in our family. And so from my mother, I learned that she never had money to do anything. But I didn't spend majority of time with my mother. I spent the majority of time with my grandfather and my grandmother, and in their house, in their brand new fancy house. It wasn't brand new. I think my grandparents built their ranch style house in 1976, which was a big deal. It was like 2,600 square feet. I want to say it's 3 or 4 bedrooms. The fact that they built it in 1976 and they were Black people in a country town building a house considered quote unquote on a hill, that was considered a big deal at that time. So when I was with my grandmother, I never felt like I needed money. Money was always there. And so, because money was always plentiful when I was with my grandmother, and since I was the younger of all the kids at the time, I needed more caretaking after my mom and my dad split. And so I always got stuff when I was with my grandma. I learned about working with my grandma. She gave me my first job. I made $5 a week rolling up the windows on her bus. She used to drive a bus part time, in addition to the fact that she had her own business where she did hair. I kind of get the best of both worlds, meaning like in my grandmother's and my grandfather's house, there was no presence of lack or poverty or at that phase in their life. I just didn't take it on. So if there was limiting stuff that I knew that I couldn't get from home, I would just go next door to my grandmother's house, which paid off greatly for them, considering how I ended up growing up. My grandfather passed away early. And one of the things that sticks with me from my grandfather passing away, he passed away at the beginning of my senior year. And he told my mom on his deathbed that at 74 years old, he died just 2 months shy of his 75th birthday, that he was just now learning how to make money. And that always stuck with me, because the perception of my family was that we had so much money. But when you go back and like actually look at the documents, at the numbers, which of course, I did a long time ago, I'm sitting up here like, how in the world were we surviving on this? Are y'all serious? Huh. So, but my grandparents were from the generation of we know how to make it work and make it stretch. Right? My grandfather was born right before the Great Depression in 1922. My grandmother was born in 1930. And so they are from generations that know how to make it work. You have to think historically, as a Black African American family in America, coming out of that Reconstruction era, My ancestors and my forefathers were thinking about creating wealth and creating land. It's like literally in our DNA, which is how we end up with so much land where we're from. I said all that to say that your point of reference into how you expose your children to money becomes their financial makeup as they get older. If we're dealing and planting ideas into their head that there's never enough money, don't talk to me about money. Don't ask questions you ain't ready to know the answer for. That was another one I used to get a lot. You're pretty much passing on limited conditioning as far as money is concerned to them. I made it a point very early on to start talking to my son about money. And once he got older to a point of understanding, then I started to share more details and specifics to how much money I made and how we pay for the lifestyle that we have and how we sustain it, and how that's worked out for me and the physical creation of assets and things like that. I'm very open with my son about money because I want it to be a non touchy subject for him. I want him to feel comfortable around money. I want money to be his friend. I want him to have a functional, healthy relationship with money. And that is what he has. He's a teenager. He used to create businesses that created money. Now he's in the phase where he just spends money. That's okay. We got his first job this summer. I was very clear. I was like, no, you're not going to be sitting up here spending all my money, honey. No. All these expensive clothes. Their generation is so funny. Gen Z is funny. So he bought this white t-shirt, and it literally looks like a white t-shirt that you can get from like Target or Walmart. And it had holes all in it. And I'm like, how much did you pay for that? And he's like, I paid $100 for this shirt. Mine's the style. It's the style for y'all to walk around with some holes in y'all t-shirts. And I'm like, okay. So every time my son feels like I am not understanding, or I am having one of those moments that where I'm really literally like thinking to myself, okay, that must be a Gen Z thing, I always respond with, okay. This story is that you have to start having the conversation about money and not pass on limiting beliefs to your kids early on so they can have a healthy, functionable relationship with money, because that will impact them later as they grow up to be young adults. And another thing is, like, if you have a successful mindset around money, your kids will have a successful mindset around money. Now, please don't get it twisted. Let me be very clear. I'm not talking about raising spoiled, get whatever I want, destructive kids, because we have some of them in our family too. While I may not have been the one that had it all growing up, like, it's so funny to see the perspective of how I grew up in the community we were in, and then going to college, and then meeting kids who never had to worry about anything a day in their lives. Their parents just bought them cars and this and that. And I'm like, it must be nice. While we were wealthy in land and natural resources, literally remember not knowing how I was going to pay for college when I left. I worked all summer and saved close to like $700-800, packed up my stuff in my car. My mom bought me like this $700 car, Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais. That car worked all of maybe a month, and then it broke down. I ended up being without a car for like almost 2 years. And you know what happened? I figured out how to navigate my environment at college. I learned how to make the environment work for me. And so if I didn't have something, I have always been super resourceful in regards to figuring out how to create circumstances where I could have access to it. That's where your survival skills come in as being a college student. It's going to impact your kids. I would encourage you, if you have not started talking to your children about money, to start the conversation like now. Another thing that I remember, after I graduated, I came home. I feel like I slept like the 2 weeks straight. I was so tired from that journey. Like, and I'm not just talking about being physically, like, I was emotionally drained from having put so much energy into my college experience. and having done so much. Again, I am a type A overachiever personality. I've always been like that. And I remember when I got home with all my stuff, my mom brought me the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. And I had woken up after sleeping for probably about a week. She thought something was wrong with me. And I was like, I just kept telling her, Mom, I'm just really tired. I really just need to rest. And she brought that book back to me and she said to me, Rashida, it's too late for me, but it's not too late for you. And I remember my heart breaking in that moment because my mom had to be, I was 23 at the time. She had to be all of 52. She had me at 30. And I was thinking to myself, like, what are you talking about? It's not too late for you. You're early 50s. It's never too late for you to get started in regards to learning about money and building wealth. Let me tell you, it is never too late to get started on your journey in creating wealth. Do you have more time when you're younger? Yes, time is on your side. But I guarantee you, if I were to go to a new city, scrap everything that I've done over these past 18 years, and only take the knowledge with me that I had learned, I guarantee you, I would be able to get back to where I am, plus even more. You do not have to believe this lie that society tells you about your time running out. It's not. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can still get started. You can still get in there. You can still get in the game. One of the things that I love about the mastermind that I was in, Amy Porterfield's mastermind last fall or course, was that there were people in there that are like in their 70s, like learning how to create digital courses. We live in a modern tech society. And y'all, there were baby boomers in there learning how to embrace technology, embrace change to see if they can create something that would give them the opportunity to have time freedom, the luxury of time freedom in their lives because they don't want to be told what to do no more. And I don't blame them. By the time you get to your 70s, I would highly hope you have made some smart decisions along the way that ain't nobody telling you what to do at that point in your life. I hope you retire. Look, hopefully. But it inspired me to know and watch them go on this journey with me. Like in 2020 was when I started tinkering with the idea of having a digital course and I didn't know what I was doing. And so I pay to play. Like, okay, so you know what? If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to go find the best person in the market to teach me what I need to know in order for me to be able to create what I'm trying to do so I can be successful at doing it. And hey, if that ain't enough, I'll go to however many people I need if I don't feel I have enough information until I get the whole picture and continue to invest in myself and my craft in order to level up. That is what I do. I pay to play, period. Because when you invest in yourself like that, it gets you to the next level. And in order for you to be able to invest in yourself, like you have to have an unshakable belief in your ability, your confidence to be able to do and create something different in the market that's going to be successful. And that has everything to do with not letting limiting beliefs get in your way. Let's talk about identifying the limiting beliefs that you feel may be holding you back. Because whether you know it or not, there is a story on play, on repeat in your brain every day. And you have to become conscious of the story that you're telling yourself. And if you want a new level in life, you have to tell yourself a different story. And if you don't know how to get to the new level, like I said, you got to go figure out what is the fastest way for me to get from point A to point B. And once you figure that out, you got to go do the things. And I'll give you an example. When I first started, I launched my business at the end of 2023 on the tip of going into the new year. And when I joined Amy's mastermind in September of last year, I had finished and created my course because I had taken a boot camp from her the previous year that took me a while to get through all of the content and implement all the things she was telling me and sharing with me because I was new to it. So it took me a while to get there. And so while people may have popped out from that boot camp and had courses as soon as we finished over the 2 week period, I did not. I am a single mom of a teen athlete who plays football, who has academic responsibilities, who at the time I was a VP at Bank of America. Like I had so many other responsibilities going on in that space, but that year in particular, it was 2022. I remember it very clearly. I was busy, but I made time to attend those boot camp sessions while I was sitting up in the laundry room ironing clothes for my son for the upcoming weeks because it was the start of the beginning of the new year and I had to make time for it. Yeah, with practices and school and lifting sessions and doctor's appointments and me having to be at work and me having deadlines, like I made time for it because it was important to me because I knew it could change my life. You have to identify what may be getting in your way in regards to the story that you were telling yourself so that you can move through it and remove what's blocking you and stopping you and continue on the path. That kind of leads into the concept of what I was going to talk about next, which is number one, you want to reframe your thoughts after you identify the limiting beliefs. Number two, you hear so many people say, feel the feeling. Okay. So if I'm feeling the feeling and I'm getting into the future, so I can make the future my present moment, how do I feel the feeling if it hasn't happened for me yet? You really have to go through experiences that allow you to have access to the lifestyle that you're trying to create and get to in regards to money, in regards to wealth, in regards to assets. And when you quote unquote feel a feeling or visualize or put yourself in environments around people that are in proximity to where you want to be, it starts to rub off on you. So you have to feel the feeling, visualize, and put yourself in situations where you can see what's possible. Les Brown has an old school talk called "It's Possible." You have to surround yourself in proximity to where you're trying to go, and then you have to engage in the environment and start getting around people who are inspiring you because 9 times out of 10, when you get around people who are inspiring you to the next level, you will level your game up. And that naturally puts you in a position where you can deal with those limiting beliefs and level up. Once you put yourself in proximity with the people and start getting to know them, next you have to take action on what it is that you're trying to do. The biggest part that people tend to miss in regards to creating stuff is the taking action part. And while I talk about manifestation, law of attraction, your beliefs and your subconscious and your reality, your thoughts create your reality. I talk about all this stuff, but the other part of it, after we finish sitting in the lotus pose, is taking actions so you can create the energy of motion to direct towards the desired result. That's a big part of it. Our generation you tend to meet a lot of people who are into the woo, but ain't into the action. And you really can't have one without the other. It's kind of like a balance. You have to balance the two. The woo is there because it's a part of the creation mechanism of the journey. But in addition to that, you have to put action behind being in the woo. And when I say woo, I mean getting in the woo woo spiritual aspect of manifestation and creation. I guess a question for you will be, what are the limiting beliefs that are getting in the way, that are blocking you and stopping you from creating the reality that you want to live? Do I need to say that in a more simple way? What's stopping you from moving to the next level? Period. And I want you to sit and think and ponder and journal or type notes out on your phone. Think about what's standing in your way that's going to get you to the next level in life that you are trying to get to. Identify those limiting beliefs and let's deal with the limiting beliefs, move through them so we can get to the next phase of the journey by replacing those limiting beliefs with taking positive, actionable steps that are going to get you closer to your desired result. As always, you can find me over on Rashida.ai and or RashidaMcFerrin.com. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with me and listen to our episode today. Please rate and review. Give us a 5-star rating. Those reviews help us get our listenership up and get the podcast pushed out to a broader audience. And until when, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.